I'm Sean Cooper, president and owner of Fit Financial Consulting, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Today we're going to be wrapping up our discussion of different types of accounts and actually talking about college savings accounts, which I've been getting quite a few questions on lately. So there are essentially two different types of college savings accounts, 529s and plans and Coverdell ESAs. So most people are a little more familiar with the 529s, but today we'll be comparing the two and the pluses and minuses of each. So a few things to keep in mind. First of all, 529 plans are state by state. So each state can offer different 529 plans. Some states will actually offer a tax deduction for contributions to a plan, others will not. Because states are different, there's also the potential for taxes associated with transferring between states. So although you don't have to use a 529 plan in the state that you created it or in the state necessarily that it's going to be used, there can be issues with transferring between states after you created it. So something to keep in mind. You do want to think a little bit about which state makes the most sense for you. Outside of that, the per state doesn't matter too much. The difference being that I wanted to talk about is the fact that ESAs do not offer any tax deduction in any state because Coverdell ESAs are not necessarily state specific. Second, 529 plans have no annual limit. Now technically that's no annual limit, but most people think of them having a limit of $15,000 as of 2018-2019. That is actually the gifting exclusion. So you can give someone up to $15,000 without there being any type of tax penalty for the year. That is not specific to the 529. The 529 doesn't actually have a limit on an annual basis per se. Most states will impose a contribution cap. It's a pretty wide range, but some of the higher caps are like $300,000 for the plan beneficiary. So pretty high cap. I don't think most colleges would eat up 300 grand, even though they are getting pretty excessively expensive at this point. ESAs, on the other hand, so Coverdell ESAs, do have an annual cap, and that is $2,000 per year. Third, both of these types of accounts are going to grow tax deferred, and they're also going to be tax free when the money is withdrawn, provided that money is used for qualifying education expenses. Now, for the most part, that applies to qualifying expenses for higher education. So associate's degree, undergraduate, master's, so on and so forth, tuition, books, room and board, a few other miscellaneous items. Things that it doesn't cover are going to be things like transportation and that sort of thing. So for the most part, tax-free, provided they're used for qualifying education expenses. Fourth, 529 plans also offer a prepaid tuition version. What that means is you can actually pay in advance for a specific college, or in some instances, if a group of colleges have an arrangement, you can pay for that group of colleges. But what that does is you lock in today's tuition rates. So tuition rates have grown actually about 2% faster than inflation across the board. So tuition is going up very, very rapidly. So people want to lock in today's rates instead of risking much higher rates down the road. The advantage obviously being potential savings relative to inflation. The disadvantage being you're essentially locking in a particular college. So if your child chooses not to attend that college, it really doesn't do you a lot of good. Potential ability to transfer maybe, but not likely. So far, because of all these different things, all the different options on the 529 plans, the limits, the tax deduction, the prepaid tuition plan, the 529 seems superior. Coverdell ESAs, however, really excel in terms of flexibility. So that brings me to the fifth topic, and that is investment options. So inside these plans, you are going to have investment options. 529 plans, because they are state specific, only offer a few different plans in each state, or potentially one. plan, and those are the investment options inside of them are going to be specific to the plan sponsor. So common plan sponsors are going to be like American Funds, Vanguard, Fidelity. You've probably heard these names. They're big institutions. Inside of their plan, though, they're probably going to limit your investment options to their own proprietary funds. This could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on which plan is available in your state. It's really up to you whether or not it's an advantage or a disadvantage. I tend to prefer more flexibility and being able to invest in the entire universe of investment options as opposed to be stuck with one company for their investments. Now, some of them are going to offer a little bit more flexibility than that, but for the most part, 529 plans are going to be specific to the plan sponsor in terms of their investment options. Coverdell ESAs, on the other hand, are going to be very, very flexible. Typically, you have a much wider array of the investment universe available to you. The sixth thing is in regards to qualifying education expenses. I alluded to this earlier, and the fact that 529 plans were previously, their qualifying education expenses were previously only available for qualifying college expenses. They have expanded that as of 2018 to now include tuition for private schools for basically K through 12. So that's tuition for private schools. Coverdell ESAs are going to be much more flexible. They will essentially cover or allow qualifying education expenses for K through 12 for essentially all of the same things that they would allow for higher education. So tuition, books, supplies, technology, room and board, things of that nature for the post-secondary and the like. Ultimately, though, which plan is going to be right for you and your kids is really up to you, and which of these factors is going to be the most important. Is it how much you can contribute on an annual basis? Is it the investment options? Is it whether or not you can use it for K through 12 education? Or is it having the availability of the prepaid tuition plans? All of these factors come into play, and you'll have to make that decision based on your individual circumstances. If you have any questions, though, by all means, give me a call. This does conclude my discussion of the different types of accounts. So next time we'll be moving on to some other topics. My number, though, 720-808-6979, and my email is sean.cooper@fitfinancialconsulting.com. Thanks.